business. How dare you? I called exactly at 10 o'clock. What's the deal? You tell me. And how do you want to play it? Like I'm on the road. I'm in the studio. I'm on a ledge. You tell me.
I like the ledge thing, but that seems dangerous.
That is. So, do we do it that I'm calling you from the road on, that I'm coming in next week? You tell me how you want to do it. I'll do it any way you want.
Wow. I've never had anyone say that to me, including
because,
women.
Most people are jerk-offs.
Well, we can do anything you want. Let's do it this way. We got Richard Lewis calling in from Russia right now. Tell me how it is over there, sir.
Are we on the air?
No, this is recorded.
No, are you recording now?
Yes.
I'm not in Russia, you moron. I'm in Russia, New York, City. No, I'm calling you from the road because this whole thing is starting to get me nuts. I'm at the Richard Lewis on Twitter. I'm only saying that because I'm a jerk. But the truth is, I've been getting all these tweets from people in Oregon saying. So I'd written a book years ago, and I went to Powell's bookstore in Portland. Mm-hmm. And I heard that it was phenomenal, and you never know who's going to show up. One person or a lone gunman or 8,000 fans. It was like almost like 1,000 people. It was insane, and the publisher sent 5 books for me to sign. So, but that's because I thought my theory was I never did a gig in Portland after 40 years, man. I said not Portland, in Oregon, anywhere. Right. So I finally got booked in Salem. I thought they were sending me to a witch trial, but it's apparently a city, which is cool.
It's
and
a
Eugene,
great city, by the way.
Heard of. So I'm calling you because of Eugene, Oregon gig, right?
Yes.
Fabulous.
The McDonald Theater, Friday, June 29th.
Well, it's none of your business when I'll show up. Because, it's very frightening, traveling. But I'm actually psyched up. I get psyched up whether it's a concert hall, this is a beautiful venue, by the way, or a club. I don't care. I mean, this is all I do. All I care about is staying monogamous with my wife because I was a womanizer. I've been a recovered addict for almost 18 years, and that audience that shows up in Eugene, I keep my life very simple. Maybe a couple of friends and a few relatives. The rest can bite me, honestly. and I give to charities. Really, I mean, what more can you do in life, really?
Well, you're a legend. I mean, you've been doing stand-up comedy for a long time.
Since I know, I'm an old guy. I know, but I don't have an act. I have about 40 hours in my computer. I ad-lib about half the show, and I've never been to Eugene, so I'm sure that I'll be talking about my experiences there, half the time because I've never been there. I mean, I heard it's a really cool place, so I'm looking forward to it.
It can be a cool place, and it can be a dirty hippie.
I am a dirty hippie.
Oh, well, then you'll fit in greatly.
By the way, how long a drive is it from Salem to Eugene? I'm just curious.
That's about an hour.
Oh, that's cool.
So you're doing some Salem comedy, and then you're going to do some Eugene comedy.
I got a concert the night before in Salem in another cool little venue, and then I'm playing Eugene. And then I'll either fly home or people in Eugene will hear a gunshot at around 11 a.m. on the 30th. And tragically, look, I'm in my 60s now. It's a joke. I started when I was 22 years old. So, I've been doing this for 42 years, but it's my birthday the night I'm on stage in Eugene. So listen, I need mercy laughs at this point. It's my birthday. My wife won't be with me. I'm not going to be drinking. I won't be, I don't want to drink. I've been sober 18 years. So if I don't get, even if I'm not funny for a few minutes, laugh your ass off because I could collapse on stage, literally, and that would be horrible.
But at the same time, that would be like a kind of the rock star way to go. You die doing what you love.
Yeah,
right?
But I wouldn't exactly call fast, burn out fast when you're 65, man. It's a joke. How did I even get this old? My whole body's falling apart. I better make love to my wife tonight, or I'm in deep trouble. I said, look, let's watch a Lifetime movie. Look, this guy had 8 women. This woman had 8 men in an hour. Isn't that enough? She says, no, it wasn't me. So, but I have a good marriage. I got married in my 50s. I did all my damage, got it over with. and I pray I don't go out and experiment anymore because it led to. I mean, I had some fun. Don't get me wrong, But when things got really, when you got to get carted, put on a gurney to taken out of a movie, putting rum on your popcorn, then it gets to a point where enough is enough,
Yeah, that's aggressive. That is.
Yeah, but I don't preach about it. This is all about me, man. I mean, I just, I had enough. I had enough craziness, but I'm still nuts, and I have more passion for stand-up. I'll tell you what really helped me. I'll be honest with you. Not that you asked. In fact, you haven't asked one question, Carl. Do you have any emotional problems? No. When I did Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I started in 2000, it's like 12 years it's been on. I mean, he's only done 8 seasons. I hope. I had dinner with Larry, but I never asked the other night. I never asked him. He's taken a year off. If he comes back, fine. But it resurrected my stand-up career. I mean, that's what happens in this business. I mean, so now when people come to see me, I have people from junior high school to people on a gurney with an oxygen mask on just before they die wanting to hear me. So it's like I got a big demographic. It's sort of weird, man.
Do you have to change up your comedy because of that?
No, I don't change anything for anybody. It's all I just talk about my feelings and pray to God people have the same feelings, and obviously they have. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking to you.
That's true.
By the way, what's the name of your station? Is The Fly?
Yeah, K-Fly.
Who came up with that name, by the way? Is he in a mental hospital?
Yeah, it was a burnout. It was definitely a burnout.
I mean, it's not a bit. Don't tell me the logo's a fly.
No, it was at the beginning until we realized that was the stupidest thing we've ever done.
Let me tell you right now, if the logo of your station was a fly, I would cancel this gig.
Well, it's a good thing we changed it like 5 years ago.
No, I got to tell you something. I know this sounds really hokey, but I have never done a concert in your state, and I am like I'm already been preparing. I mean, how I prepare is like I go over thousands of new problems, and hope some of them stick when I hear my name, and I come out to Jimi Hendrix, who inspires me a lot, and I just try to rock the joint, man. And I need the audience more than they need me, to be honest with you. Because if they're with me, then I just fly. It's sort of like a jazz thing. And if they, for some reason get uncomfortable, then most people in my family died of heart attacks. So if they want to have that on their conscience, fine.
I can't imagine you having a bad show. I've seen tons of your stand-up over the years. I've seen you in movies and Curb Your Enthusiasm. I've never not been. I'm laughing at everything you're saying right now.
You didn't see me in bed last night, but I bombed. No. You know what? Listen, you never know. It's really an interesting thing. Look, some audiences are just on fire. They get you and they're fans. But when you do a venue like this, man, like in Eugene, the theater is like really historic. I'm excited about doing it. I mean, it's similar to the theater down, an hour down the night before. I love playing historic theater. I live in a house in Hollywood which was built in 1927, pretty much around the same time this theater was, and I sort of like history. The only thing I don't like about it is that I can't sit on the toilet in these theaters because I don't want to sit on a toilet that Jimmy Cagney sat on before he did a tap dance. So I bring toilet paper with me. It's in my rider.
Well, let me tell you about the green room of the McDonald Theater. It's a scary place.
Yeah, I'm not going to probably see it. I get there right before the show, man, and all I care about is the audience, and then I go back, and then I get on my knees, and I pray that I live another day. But tell me about the green room. The green room
is a scary place.
Why?
I'm sure you've seen green rooms at clubs throughout your life.
I've seen green rooms everywhere, at Carnegie Hall to steakhouses.
Who's got the best green room that you can remember?
Oh, Carnegie Hall.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Did they have like gold and stuff that they were handing to you?
For me back then, even though I was pretty sober for the show, afterwards I got hammered. I was on stage. I think I must have been on about a day, but I didn't want to get off. It was a great night, but everybody sent me champagne for some reason. And that was very nice. And knowing I was an alcoholic, I got 3,000 bottles of champagne. I couldn't wait for the show to end. I guess what Elton John, who's sober, said, the only reason I couldn't wait to finish the show was so I can drink, which is sort of funny, man.
Yeah.
Sort of sad, too, but he's honest about it. No, but no, that green room was cool. And no, you know what really the greatest green rooms are? They're really like they're sort of like a little overdone. But the Las Vegas green rooms, like where Elvis played and those,
Yeah.
they are unbelievable. They're all mirrored, and there's bars and showers, and oh God, the damage I did back in the '80s there. Oh man, in '90s. Hey, look, I'm not complaining. I had a great time, except until I forgot. I almost died. So I'm glad I'm talking to you. I'm glad I'm on the fly. I've never seen Eugene. I expect to have someone drive me around, but I've been getting these really real tweets saying you got to go to the hippie bagel shop and all these they're trying to scare me. I'm not scared of anything.
Yeah, well, you're from New York, right? I mean,
yeah.
You can't be scared of anything if you're from New York, especially Eugene.
I mean, Eugene's it's sort of a cool place, right? It's funky, right?
Yeah, it's like San Francisco light.
Oh, really? Well, yeah, but wasn't that where Mork and Mindy came from? That city?
I don't know. Where are they from, Eugene? I didn't. Now I'm gonna have to look that up because I'm curious.
I know it was from Colorado. I think it was some place in Colorado.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, no, it was Colorado. No, it was Boulder. The fact that I even remember that, I want to kill myself. No, but I'm looking forward to it. I don't know, I'm just, I'm packed already. By the way.
Wow.
Oh no, I pack a week early.
Do you pack light? Because I know that bands, they have to pack light because they're on the road.
I bring everything with me in case of death.
You are really afraid of dying right now.
No, I'm afraid of living. You got it all wrong.
Oh, okay.
So that way, if I don't tell my wife's out of the house now. I don't change. My wife is very hip. I talk about us and about everything. She's cool. I married a woman who knew that she was with a guy who was obsessive compulsive, an alcoholic. It speaks volumes of her. That she loved me for who I was, and two, she's out of her mind. So it worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not an alcoholic, thankfully. I mean, I don't know how I couldn't live with another alcoholic. I couldn't last a day. I mean, even though I would feel empathetic, I couldn't handle it. It's enough just for me, just to stay sober. But I mean, 18 years is a long time. Let's be truthful.
That is a long time to hold.
But I had a lot of cross addictions. You've heard about that,
Oh yeah.
Oh God! I mean, sex, chocolate. I mean, it was one point where I was eating pencils. I really. At least I've stayed away from wildlife. Thank God.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on.
I'm not a sick whack job or pedophile. Sex I love. But when you get and I'm also more of a libertarian. I don't judge anybody. It's like I did a lot of stuff in Europe, some films, some indies, and the guys would walk around one day and say, "Here's my girlfriend," and then the next day they'd parade their wife around with their 5 children, and everybody would say hello to that. It's because it's accepted. It's like when Clinton went through that stuff and Kennedy. They worship that stuff in Europe. This is a very puritanical country. I get it.
Well, it pretends to be a puritanical. It's really not. It's really
you're
disgusting.
right. That's right, because everyone's full of crap mostly.
Yeah, and everybody's disgusting in their own way, but they like to pretend they're not.
Yeah, I mean, with all due respect, I happen to be a Democrat only because I'm more independent, but only because my wife works for this charity. She was in the record business for a long time. Now she's urbanfarming.org. It's a pretty cool site, and they grow food in the middle of inner cities, so people who have no money can pick their food. Now, when you see these people on the street corners, most of them are alcoholic. So if you give them a $5 bill, they'll probably go out and buy some rum with it. So to me, it made sense. Let them pick some broccoli or something. Even though they'll probably try to smoke it.
Which is bad.
The truth is, if that makes me a socialist, then everyone can bite me. Really, if helping people who can't afford a lunch or a dinner and growing food makes me a socialist. See, that's the kind of stuff that I can't stand. In fact, I just did an ad for an organization that want not just anti-Republican or Democrat or independent. It's like we are lied to every day by everybody. It's all crap. So we got to really do our fact finding ourselves. And there's some really cool organizations on the net that really check out the facts. Because look, we have an election coming up, so the closer I get to November, the more political I'll get. And but I don't care what people believe in. I don't care if they're atheists. I don't care if they believe in anybody or who they vote for. But just the only thing that bugs me, man, is like it's my way or the highway crap.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that ruins. That's the stuff that's like that fringe on both sides that make, like 20% of this country are out of their minds. And I think it's all fear-based, and intolerance and all that stuff.
Oh,
I mean,
totally
imagine if you're a little boy and you love baseball, but your parents were Klansmen, Well, they couldn't be Klansmen unless they were gay. So let's say a father was a Klansman and the mother was iron the sheets or something. I don't know. And the kid wanted to go to a little league game, but the father says, "No, we have to hang somebody." I mean, it's not the kid's fault; it's the parents' fault.
It is. It is definitely the parents' fault, and it seems we're slowly each generation getting a little bit better in some ways, and getting away from some of the absurdities that took place in our history. But
no, we are.
It's getting worse in other ways too.
First, the civil, with the blacks couldn't vote. When you consider, like in baseball, Jackie Robinson. I mean, 1947 isn't that far away. The first African American to play baseball. I mean, and then there's gay rights and civil rights. And look, I don't understand. The only people that care of not giving rights to other people are people that are either uneducated or intolerant. And and I don't think that's our country. I think about 70% of the country says, look, just don't tell me how to live and do your thing. I'm convinced that's the case. But on TV, all you see are the people on the extreme right or extreme left screaming at each other, and it's sickening.
It is. There's a lot of propaganda that goes on.
Yeah, no, it's all propaganda as far as I'm concerned. So, but we have the vote. So I'm sorry for getting off the track here, but I just love this country. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. And I care more about the veterans and the guys and the women who are going over there and fighting, so I can go on stage, and the police and the firemen. You know what? There's always a couple of bad. Obviously, there are. There are bad apples everywhere. They're bad plumbers. They're rapist plumbers.
Yeah.
And there's some bad soldiers and some bad cops and firemen, but the bulk of them are great and are heroes. And then they come back. They do 5 tours of duty and they can't even get a job. I mean, that because they should give them the jobs first, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that.
I mean, so those are the kind of things I get passionate about. And if people want to boo me for that, then they're out of their minds, as far as I'm concerned.
So, I don't think I've ever heard this much seriousness come from you ever. How much of this do you get into on your?
Well, no. First of all, my goal is I put myself down 99% of the time I'm on stage. But when I choose to talk about religion or politics, I talk about the absurdity of people who are ignorant and making our lives miserable. That's all. And I'm not blaming them for being ignorant. Maybe they can't afford to go to school, or go to college or something. And I get it. I mean, it's not their fault. Maybe they're poor. They're just they just don't have the bread. But there's a lot of people that don't have money who aren't intolerant and who care about people's civil liberties. So I don't know. But to answer your question, I'm not going to be lecturing. This is not a college lecture. I mean, if I don't get laughs, I failed. So, I try to turn it into to funny.
Yeah.
And if I don't, but believe me, this is probably the most serious I've sounded since I was in 8th grade. Now that I think of it, I'm really just a moron. So I will be as stupid and as self-deprecating as possible when I hit that theater. But now that you scared me about the green room,
just don't go downstairs.
I'm going to have to go to the bathroom 2 days early now before I go to the show. How dare you scare me?
It's not scary. It just smells bad.
Oh, see, you knew. I'm not like Howie Mandel. You heard about him. He's so germophobic.
Yeah. He can't even touch
Howard
people.
Hughes look healthy. This guy. But I'm a little germophobic. That Perel stuff. How much can that do, really? If you sit on a toilet and don't put toilet paper down, you should be put in a mental institution, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, what are you going to do? Stand up and parallel your whole body? It's a joke.
It is.
So, so I keep my life very simple now. Try to be good to my wife, good to my friends, a couple of relatives, and just kick ass on stage, and pray that I, don't, have any, horrible death. I mean, is that too much to ask?
No, that's pretty much what anybody on Earth should ask
I thought
for,
that was
really.
just me.
No, that's a great way to live life.
Yeah,
really.
I know, but not everybody. There's not that many comedians on the planet. Believe me.
I know. Well, that's what's kind of interesting is, it feels like there was an era, like, maybe 70s and 80s, and I'm 34, so I'm kind of young, I guess.
Wow.
But it seems like the 80s and 90s was really like, I don't know, like
you're right. It mushroomed. When I started out, listen, I'm not one of these bitter guys. I love comedy. Sarah and Jeffrey Ross. I'm friends with them, and there's so many great comedians. And Louis C.K. I did a show with him in Chicago a couple of months ago. These guys, that's that wave, and I had that wave too. And I'm still, I've been on Curb since 2000. I'm lucky I'm still relevant, and plus I write all the time. So, and I ad-lib half my shows, so it's not like I'm coming on stage and I'm going, I'll tell you that President Carter, So I'm not that kind of comedian. But,
right.
But the truth is, though, when I started, I'm hanging out at the bar with Crystal and Leno and Andy Kaufman and Freddie Prinze. Freddie and, of course, is dead now, and Andy. But, there were others, but, there weren't that many. And we were sitting there going, what are we thinking? I mean, the big stars back then were like George Carlin and Richie Pryor and Robert Klein, and those were like the 30-something guys. We were in our early 20s, but like we thought we were like, how are we going to do this? I mean, it was like scary. We were like artists back in Paris sitting around making no money, going, that's a good canvas. How much did you get for it? $1.80.
Yeah.
I mean, Van Gogh, I think, sold one painting, and then now he's the most famous painter in the world. So, it was like really cool, though, hanging out afterwards, helping everybody with their acts. And then when all the comics started to come in the 80s, everybody started stealing everybody and ripping people off. And that's probably one of the worst parts of the business. I have to admit, I'm very ethical. I don't even watch a lot of, when I hear someone's really great, like Eddie Izzard, for example, is brilliant. I'll watch 5 minutes. I'll tell my wife, all right, I see it. I get it. I don't want to hear any more because I don't want to get my brain clogged up with other people's thoughts. Even a bad comedian, and I say bad meaning like say just mediocre and not funny.
Yeah.
He's talking about a sweater or something. My brain will shut down because I really am ethical about this stuff. So it's still like Lenny Bruce and Richie Pryor, two of the guys who I worshipped in college. There's still albums that I haven't listened to yet until I actually stop performing because I don't want to hear how their brain works on certain subjects because we're pretty similar.
And that's got to be kind of a tough thing because, I remember a long time ago I read this interview with Prince, and he said that he doesn't listen to anyone else's music except his because he doesn't want to copy anybody. But it seems that you're kind of taking that approach with comedy, too.
I did. Before I became a comic, I listened to all the greats. I watched all the great TV sitcoms when I was a little boy, and that influenced me. But once I started performing, I realized I went, you know what? The only way that I want to do this is to be fearless and to be Richard Lewis and no one else. And then if they want to steal me, let them say, hey, they're doing Lewis. And otherwise. Like observational comedy is very popular. Hey, you ever notice when you go, and that's fine, and it's funny, and people laugh, but I was judged by my family, by everything. Everything I did was wrong. So the last thing I want to do is tell people, hey, do you ever notice when you go to a Kmart? It's like, it's like I don't like to tell people, let them notice it themselves. I'd rather tell them how I feel about me. And so far, I'm still talking. I'm on the phone with you at one of the great names of a radio station, K-Fly. What is the logo now, by the way?
It's not really a logo, but we do have here's what's interesting. We have an afternoon show, which actually this interview will air on, called The Donkey Show.
Oh, wait a minute! Now you're really You're going from bad to worse.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better than this. Let me tell you.
So in other words, you basically you ripped off the Animal Planet channel.
Yeah, well, we ripped off a horrible thing that happens in Mexico on Fridays.
Well, you know what? I could care less. First of all, I've done every radio show times 1,000, and the fact that I'm talking like this, I feel like I'm talking to a friend, is because you're natural and I'm not stroking you. You can ream me when I hang up. I don't care. But I mean, you're really good at what you do. So there's sometimes people will go, "Hi, Richard. Why do you wear black?" Look. You know what? It's not. I don't want to answer that anymore.
Yeah. Well,
what about this? I say. What about I like the color? How's that? Can we move on?
Yeah. There's a lot of bad radio shows.
You're funny. You're natural, and there's only about 5% people. They don't realize how hard it is to do radio. I mean, to fill in 4 hours a day, 5 days a week.
It's
holy
brutal.
Mackerel!
It's brutal.
It's murder.
It is. And
how many people do you have sitting around you helping you?
No one. I'm literally in a room by myself.
You're kidding me.
No. And then when the Donkey Show comes on, I'm kind of the one of the members on the show. There's two of them. I'm like the third guy, and then we have an intern. So
who's the donkey? What's his name?
The donkey's name is Earl.
How did he come up with that name?
I don't know.
Reason, or was it he just likes mules and donkeys?
I think that he had a trip to Mexico, and
oh boy,
it got really weird.
They say you're only as sick as your secret, so he's got to be comfortable in his own skin. I mean, when he goes on a merry-go-round, will he only go on a donkey, or would he sit on a horse?
No way. It's only donkeys.
A donkey go-round. That's sad, man.
The show is sad.
If he needs to call me for a donkey intervention, I could help him.
I will keep that in mind.
But I'm looking forward to going out there, man. Now you scared me about the toilet. But otherwise, my goal is to blow that roof off, and I hope people, I know times aren't as good. First of all, times sucked 4 years ago. They're creeping along better. But if you have the opportunity to come, I promise, Eugene, I'm already spending 4 or 5 hours a day creating problems for you, so you can laugh. So I hope people show up. And I've never did a gig there before, and I'm really pumped, man. So if you show up, I'll leave it all on the floor. I guarantee it.
Well, I'm excited to see you live because like I said, I've watched your stand-up for a long time now. I've seen most of the things you've done, whether it's Curb or a Snickers commercial or whatever it is you've done.
I can't believe Roseanne didn't die after getting crushed by a tree over $1 million.
That was brutal.
That was sort of a shocker to me. That was sort of a trip to be on. That was a Super Bowl commercial. Almost a third of the country saw that when it aired the first time.
Yeah.
Now I walk down. I live in Hollywood, so I go to hotels sometimes with my notes and the tour. All these tour buses. So I've been doing comedy for 42 years, and I'm proud of what I've done. I am.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. But when you have people waving at me with pictures and go, "Hey, there's Mr. Snickers," look, I like the candy bar, and it was a good commercial. But I'm not Mr. Snickers the clown. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's another ridiculous thing about America and the culture and the internet and all that. You could be good at something for your entire life, like you just said with comedy, and do one commercial and it changes.
One commercial and I'm a candy bar.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And by the way, I've been getting these tweets. You know what? I was born a Jew, and I'm proud of it. I'd be proud of whatever I was born, and then I would learn about the other religions and figure it out for myself. But all they keep telling me, "Hey man, there's not any Jews." I don't. You know what? There's only about 4% Jews in the whole country anyway, and it doesn't matter. And my material makes I can make a Muslim laugh, a Buddhist laugh, I can make an atheist laugh. None of this seems to matter to anyone but to the people that are tweeting. It's so stupid.
Tweeting is stupid. The whole thing.
We're all the same, Bob Dylan has this line: "I was born here and I'll die here against my will." I popped out a Jew. I could have popped out Korean.
It's true.
Then I learned about my history. The whole thing's so stupid. I'm not an atheist. I'm a spiritual guy, but I mean, I think there's got to be something more than my show and K-Fly, or we should all just drink the Kool-Aid kill ourselves, But I mean, people should get off that already, if you whatever you believe in is fine with me, but don't say, hey, you're going to be an odd duck here, man. I know I'm not. I played the South. I played everywhere in the country except Oregon for some reason. Hey, maybe they're right though. Wait a minute, that just dawned on me.
It could be your last show.
I played everywhere but Oregon. Maybe there's a reason. I pray not.
Yeah, well, that's baffling to me that you've never been in Oregon before.
It's crazy. Listen, but when I did my book reading at Powell's, I walked around. They said they've never seen. They had to push all the stalls away, and there was about 800 people there. In Portland. And I said, wait a minute. I bet that's because I've never been in Oregon before. I mean, I could have done a concert there.
You should have.
So, I'm hoping the same thing happens in Eugene. I mean, there are people like you. You're a young guy. I get it, but there are people that, who watch. I mean, Curb started when you were like 18 or 19, and there are people. There are boomers who've been watching me on Carson and Letterman since the 80s and the 70s who've never seen me live. So hopefully they can spend an hour and come out and have some laughs.
I think that's the case. I mean, despite the fact that your Twitter followers or whoever are telling you to be weary, Eugene's a cool place. I'm
not scared at all. No, I'm just saying. Listen, when you're on Twitter, you can get a guy's on in the electric chair. It's his last sentence. So I don't. Some of the stuff is really funny. About 90% of the people that answer me are hilarious. But then you get a couple of racists and anti-Semites and all that. But that's going to happen anywhere,
Yeah, that's totally true.
But when they talk about Eugene, somehow I don't know. I mean, I don't know why people, just because I was born in New York, I live in California, big deal. Portland's beautiful. Eugene's supposed to be cool. And, I'm just looking, and the theater's gorgeous. So, just lay off, man. Let me just get on stage and rock the house, and let's call it a night,
Well, I can't wait to see you, and I'm looking forward to the I don't even know what you're going to do, and I don't even care.
I don't either. When Jay Leno said to me once, why are you so nervous? You've been doing this since you're 23 years old. I went, what if I don't know what I'm going to say? How's that, Jay? I don't have an act. I have no clue what's going to happen. So, I mean, isn't that reason enough to be a little shaky?
It is, but it's also commendable because there are comedians that have a set act. I mean, there was a documentary on Seinfeld where he talked about, having to redo his whole act, and it seemed like, man, I thought you were like the professional that could just do this, and you are like the antithesis of that.
Hold on a second. There are guys who do the same stuff for years and years. Guys like Jerry and other guys, they do it, and then they throw it out, and they start building a new hour or whatever. I have about 40 hours in my computer, and I ad-lib a lot. I like to ad-lib, so I never have an act. The only time I had to do that was when I did like HBO specials, and you have to sort of like, get it down to like 50 minutes, and you got to sort of do the same stuff every night for a few months, and I hated doing that. But you have no choice, But now, I stopped doing specials for that reason. I said, look, I at this point I don't have much to prove to myself, at least. To the audience I do, not to myself. So I just don't want to like go on the road, like go to Eugene and know that I have an HBO special in 2 months and have to do, know that I'm going to do hi, hello, and then know exactly what I'm going to say and how I'm going to end it. That would suck, for me.
It just seems boring too.
Yeah, that's the reason. It would be very boring. So I'm just really looking forward to it, bro.
Absolutely. Well,
and
thanks.
And by the way, a lot of comedians. And this sounds like, one of the older guys being bitter, but a lot of comedians do clubs or concerts, and they go, I don't want to call up a station, or I don't want to be, I'm obligated to the promoters, and I'm obligated to promote the venue, and also there's nothing wrong with talking about, the show. I mean, it's like a lot of comedians think it's like, this is a lot of crap. It's not a lot of crap. It's part of the business. It's like ridiculous. I always tell young comedians, hey, what are you bitching about, man? It's a great life. If you can make a living telling jokes, you're not breaking down a cave in Afghanistan, jerk.
Yeah, absolutely.
So chill out. So anyway, I'm looking forward to, and thank you for spreading the word. I really appreciate it, bro.
Absolutely. We'll be giving away tickets and all that good stuff next week, and playing the interview. Well, at least some of the interview. It's now at 35 minutes.
Yeah, I know, because I've been on the phone for 5 hours. I just dropped one testicle. I don't know if you care.
I do care. That's a.
I'll talk about it on stage. It was your fault. It was the longest interview ever on radio, and I only have one ball left. But I'll be funnier. You're funnier with one ball anyway. You don't need two. The other one's needless. Anyway, I'll see you in Portland, buddy.
All right.
Thanks a million.
All right, Richard Lewis. Thank you.